Presenting Real Estate in a Digitized World, a knowledge seminar by India chapter of International Advertising Association.
First of all, congratulations. I think it's a fantastic idea, and I think real estate needs the new concepts that you have really brought to the fore. So thank you very much for putting this act together and, of course, giving me an opportunity to speak here today. I think the world has changed. When I got into the industry 30 years ago, the quantum of interest in real estate was small. The investments were very little. The reach was the classified pages of Times of India. You know it better. And the kind of advertising done by the builders was less than 0.25% of what we do today. So, all in all, it wasn't even an industry. It was like an investment opportunity. Today, if you look at the urban scenario, in any country in the world, in the cities, in the towns, 50% of the wealth of at least 35% of the population is held in real estate. And this is in spite of the fact that the interest in gold in India is huge. So the fact that we really get into land, buildings, development, and then ultimately the desire to get a house is supreme. Look at what the figures say. 30 years ago, a friend of mine had to buy a house. He looked for a resale house on Nepean Sea Road. And he said, my target price is 150 rupees a square foot. He was getting a flat at 170. I had to sit with him over 5 sittings on 3 days in order to persuade him to actually buy the house that he should have bought. The resale price today of that same house is 35,000 rupees a square foot. Same house which is 30 years older. So the kind of paradigm which you really see in terms of wealth creation in the real estate field has been so enormous in the last couple of years, and partly, of course, due to inflation and other factors. So what is it that we really are doing in the media that we want to communicate? What is it that we really use the digital media to do? First of all, the volumes of funds required for the purposes of buying a house have become larger. And these are available very much because we have banking and financial institutions to back that purchase. So you have a large number of financial institutions who want to advertise and compete to actually fund this house. Because at the end of the day, the lowest NPA, in spite of the fact of what all the banks do tell you, the lowest NPA in any business of any bank in this country is from the housing finance end. It's less than 2% in the whole country. I'm not counting frauds and other things that have taken place, but I'm talking about pure NPAs. So a huge amount of advertising is done through the purpose of getting funds from the housing finance agencies to the end customer. This, at the end of the day, becomes a fungible investment, which means the lowest common denominator will ultimately win. The service provided by the customer, is really going to be the thing. But the reach is going to be, in the next couple of years, through the digital medium. There is no other alternative, because at the end of the day, that 50 basis points difference, which may be available to you on the net, and this is how you do it in the United States, in the UK and other countries, you actually have to go down to the net and see what the best rates are. We in India still would walk into banks, financial institutions and other places in order to get the best rates and the best deals and the best understanding. But in the next 5 years, this is going to change completely. The availability of funding and finance and the services provided will be through the digital medium. You will not have to walk into the offices. You will not have to go there. You will not be reaching there in order to make this change. This is the first major. So a large amount of money is available to the house buyer directly, except for the end of it, of signing the papers for the purposes of the mortgage, to be able to settle all these matters to be done. Look at the next major change which has taken place through the digital media. There's a large insurance company which sells insurance in the UK, Prudential. Today, a large amount of their back-end office is done in India. They're done in Powai, in our complex. What do? A person would be able to fill an insurance form in the UK. It's transferred digitally to India. And the same thing is processed overnight, so the next morning, this is available to you. The selling of that insurance also is done through the digital media. Why am I talking about the ideas which have happened? It's partly to relate that the percentage of business which is now put into the digital media in this country today is very, very small. So what is going to become more and more important in the next couple of years is that this is going to explode. It's going to grow disproportionately. And anyone and everyone who does not use adequate technology in order to accept this kind of interchange will be wiped out. There is no other way that you can do it. You have to do and get into this media. In the real estate business, we actually have a smaller percentage of people who buy and will always continue to do so, because at the end of the day, when a person wants to buy a house for his own use, the left-facing flat, all the other aspects of it may not be adequate for a person's satisfaction. But at the same time, the investment opportunities of people who want to do investment into real estate is slowly but surely shifting to the digital media. And increasingly, 3 things have to happen. The first is to be able to see that the branding that you have done will give adequate confidence to the end customer to be able to rely on a digital access. So if the brand name of the customer is sufficient to say that he will deliver a quality product, he will be able to deliver it reasonably on time, and that he can be assured of the services to the end customer, it is possible and happening that an investment is now shifting surely into the digital media. A large number of people will then rely on it. So the next important things become is the fact that you have to grow the branding of your product. If you want to use increasingly the digital media, you have to see that the branding of yours becomes adequately grown to reach the persons. And I believe a large number of speakers have given you the ideas and thoughts on how that is necessarily growing in a differential direction in the last couple of years. And it's been very interesting how the digital media is able to do that in the real estate field and happening especially in the case of investment areas. And the last part of it is the services element that you're able to deliver also in the real estate field will have to move to the digital media, sending various applications, working on it, transfer of money, all these aspects of the fact. And thank God, at the end of the day, we have what is called the real estate. So instead of moving just into the digital area of what everything is happening, I have something which I can touch and feel and also live into it because that's the end product that you really have to enjoy in order to be happily there forever. And that's another aspect of what the aspect of the digital media is the fact that you will be able to now get the real valuation of your product which you are staying in instead of worrying about what the brokers or the developers or other people are quoting. Because you now will have, in the next couple of years, adequate reach through the digital arena to be able to know every possible transaction which is done in your area or in any other areas of the projects in which you're going to do. So what are the paradigms that we are going to see? And this is an imperative change that you are going to enjoy. Enjoy, why am I saying enjoy? Because in this country, to buy a house or to sell a house is a painful exercise. To choose one, get the approvals for the same, and produce them is going to be extremely difficult. And hopefully, if you can have a developer with an adequate brand name, which assures this thing to happen, the amount of funds that you can possibly attract for your product is unbelievably large. In the last 2 years, there has been a huge amount of recession. But if you looked at the period before that, the 3 years or 4 years earlier to that, earlier to 2008, earlier to the Lehman crisis, the amount of investments that came in for the purposes of all manufacturing, all real estate, all the other items of investments, the amounts were enormous. The opportunity after this cycle of recession goes away is again going to increase and move to the next platform. So what are we really seeking from you, my friends, is really to see the innovation that we really need to create through various advertising media and to see what is going to be the changes that we are going to do in the digital best practices that we need. Because it's not just to be good enough to go to the Google. It is not just good enough to get the information, but we really need some sort of mechanism by which we can sift this data and create a reliable mechanism. And this, I think, is something nobody has really done. It is there with some of the property consultants. A large number of them are exercising that and are earning large amounts of money and creating great goodwill in the organizations. So people and companies would go to them because they would be able to get and sift all this data, put up international best practices, and deliver the item. So what do we really have to do? Information, as we all know, through the digital media has become the easiest thing that you need to do. If you want to know what somebody else is doing, get into the Googling, and I'm sure you'll have more information about him than you would get by asking that person what he is or what information that he has. So it's much easier to do that. But how do we collate this data and make it worthwhile in the real estate field? And that, I believe, is going to be a challenge. How are the changes in the advertisement systems that we are going to create in order to see that you not only get information to be delivered to the client, but you really get information which ultimately brings about a reliable platform which can actually deliver the product. I want to buy a house in South Bombay, okay? And if I'm going to look at the advertisements and at the end of the day get plain data, is it going to be a reliable platform in which I can take a decision where I'm going to put in millions of rupees and millions of dollars and crores of rupees that I want to invest openly? And that, I think, is going to be the biggest opportunity in the digital media. That will be that you will start rating advertising. You will rate what is the position and reliability of the data by a particular institution, by a property consultant, by a dealer in the area, by a developer who's going to do it, and be able to say that data and information coming from a particular platform has a certain sanctity to it, which is again branding. A different sort of branding that we will have to create, and hardly, very, very few, I wouldn't say hardly, but very, very few people have actually got into that next level wherein they will create platforms internationally like the type Google has done, wherein the cost of actually doing transactions will come down, but the reliability of the data will be so high that people will get attracted to it. That kind of platform will actually come in the next couple of years, and you will see that few of these organizations, few of these platforms, I don't know what the name of it will be, maybe Habitat platform on the net, and people will say that if I really want to buy a house, if I really want reliable data, if I really want to do it at a lowest transaction cost that may possibly happen, I will be able to go to this platform and buy my house, invest into the property and do this. It will be larger than most of the stock exchanges of the country, because the value of real estate that is transacted worldwide would be even higher than probably the stock exchanges transactions that are taking place in the real estate world. And over a period of time, especially in countries like India, where the interest of buying a house is so high that it will be quite exciting to look at this new platform. I wanted to share these couple of thoughts because this audience is extremely intellectual, in the sense that you are looking forward to new directions in which we can possibly move. And I think we need to propagate these ideas, but the basis of this is all the old ideas that we really come with, which is that the product delivery has to be more than perfect. If at the end of the day, our product is not great, not good, but great, you cannot effectively use the digital world and remain on the top, because competition will remove you from that. You cannot be good. You cannot be better. You got to be better than the best, because the competition going to be created by the digital media will surely eliminate the ordinary. It's going to happen. It has not happened in this country, but that's not happened for different reasons. But everywhere else in the world, in the developed world, this is happening, and it has happened. If you don't create products which are suitable to the market and do not have value at the bottom end of the pyramid, at the end of the delivery cycle, if your product is not good and you think you can do a great digital delivery of an inferior product, you can do it once, you can do it twice. The third time, there will be a tweet, and everybody in the world will know in 5 seconds that your product delivery through this digital platform is not worthy of a second look. And the whole world will be able to access that thing. So criticisms in the old world media was very high, and people are worried about what the media is doing in terms of what it does on TV and what it does in the newspapers. But believe you me, If your quality of the product here at the end is weak, then please don't go to the digital world. So first and last, please get into the product. And that's where we are not good in India. We don't have a product capable of moving into the digital world. Because you have to understand that all the cleverness and all the cosmetics that you do to hide the weak product that you're creating, the bad product that you're creating, the inferior product that you deliver, or the bad service that you deliver is going to be tweeted very, very quickly in the whole world to the entire enterprise of the world. So the criticisms are going to be 10,000, 10 million times stronger than what they happened in the old world. So please don't bother about the digital world if you haven't moved on your product base. So A, go to your product base, improve your product base, further improve your product base, again further improve your product base, and add the service delivery first. Before that, the digital world is the most dangerous world that you're going to. So don't look at it as an unmixed blessing. It's a dangerous world to get into. It's like becoming a popular person on TV. But if you do anything wrong, you're first going to be seen all over the world. Very quickly, very, very fast. And in the digital world, you have no control whatsoever in order to be able to meet the criticisms of that world. So what is going to be there is a scary world. You have to be petrified of what is going to come across, because it's such, for a person who can do a great product, you will get values which are astounding. You will not believe, because if you're good and great, the value recognition through the digital world will be very, very high and very, very strong, because you can then attract investments from any quarter of the globe. And that is the best and most beautiful challenge that we have. How is it that we use the medias which exist, whether it's a newspaper, whether it's the TV, whether it's the other thing, and now the digital world, in order to actually extract the best value? And I do believe that in the next couple of years, if you can put your product into place on one side and create this as a strong digital world where you use the media instantly to all the product place, the value of the platform of delivery will also become so valuable that the Googles of the world will be left behind. Not because they are not good, but this is a different value proposition which is backed by a different type of product, which is the need of the entire world, where things on real estate is going to grow unbelievably strong. India, of course, has a much more special place when it comes to real estate. Because real estate is not just buying a product, it's buying social security. In our country, only now we are having a little bit of social security in terms of guaranteed food and guaranteed salaries like Narega, and there are certain states which are giving pensions and stuff like that to old age at a very, very marginal level of the population. But barring those social security, if a person retires today and doesn't have his own house in the country, he's going to be in a very, very miserable situation. So you don't buy your house just because you're looking at it as another investment opportunity. It is an imperative that you really have to seek for during your life. So real estate is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. The investments in real estate is going to be a great one. The digital media, to me, is looking so very exciting. It's almost like creating the next beautiful building for me. And I think what we are going to see in the next couple of years is creating that digital platform as broad and wide as Google has created it worldwide, in order that we will then be able to invest individually, collectively, institutional-wise and otherwise, to be able to invest, reinvest, both at the end of the individual buyer, individual investor, institutional buyers. For instance, in the next couple of years, we do expect that there will be large number of people who will buy properties or maybe even townships and give it out on rent. It's quite possible that this is going to happen in the next couple of years. We are getting REITs to come in. SEBI is already discussing these issues. And hopefully if we get that, then maybe the rental issues which are so difficult in urban cities at this point of time, we'll be able to do it. Again, the digital media will be able to explain to you what should be the real pricing mechanism, what is the demand in the marketplace. Today you come to me, you don't know how many apartments I've sold. I may tell you I've sold everyone except the apartment that you're buying. Tomorrow, that data will be available. It will be available on the digital media, and you'll be able to know what are the transactions done by our company at what rate, because all the registry will start getting onto the digital media and the knowledge will be available. So it will become much more egalitarian. Everyone will be at the information level, which is going to be much, much easier. It's a wonderful challenge. How do we, as a business, actually create the platform on this side, use it for advertising, use it for selling, creating value for all of us, but scary to tell you that very few developers would be mentally ready today to get into the full challenges of being exposed to the digital world. And many times we will have to prepare in the real estate side. Are we ready to do it now? And those people who will prepare themselves and be ready for it, the investments coming to them will be huge and unbelievably large. So let's get ready for it. You on the idea of creating these platforms, using the digital media in very new ways, and we hopefully will create the products in place to use your platforms and your digital ideas to take this business forward into a new direction.